everybody, this is Batgroom back again, playing some more Warface on the Xbox 360. Today I just want to talk about a few of the reasons why I think that Warface isn't as popular here in the US as it is in a few of the other markets. There are a couple of different reasons for it. The first of which, of course, is the FPS marketplace is fairly saturated, and more than that, it is absolutely dominated by two franchises. That, of course, being Call of Duty and Battlefield. Some may include Halo in there, but by now it's almost in its own separate thing. You can be a Halo fan and not really be a fan of FPS games as a whole, and you can be a fan of a lot of FPS games and totally not get into the Halo style of play. A ton of folks who will get every iteration of Call of Duty, of Battlefield. They came from the Medal of Honor lineage and stuff, but they won't touch Halo, so I'm going to keep that one aside. But in the case of Call of Duty and Battlefield, these two, I guess, iterative franchises, yearly franchises, take up so much space within the marketplace, and they have so much power that there's really not a lot of room for other games to really come in and eat away at that marketplace. There's not a lot of bandwidth available to new IP. As such, when you present a game as a downloadable title with very little real fanfare, I'm not even sure exactly how I heard about it when I first got into it. None of my friends had really heard about it, and very few of them got their beta invites until late. That's after I sent them the information to sign up. So I don't know that Warface really had much of a chance really getting in there. With games like Medal of Honor, which used to be the big champ, you had your Medal of Honor as your war game, and again you had Halo off on its side as the sci-fi branch of the FPS genre. Medal of Honor kind of dominated there for a while because it was World War II. It was very clear and easy for Western gamers especially to pick sides. Everybody kind of knew that the Germans were bad, that the Nazis, were the definitive bad guys. They still hold up, if you want to talk about somebody being a bad guy, like, oh, they're like Hitler, they're a Nazi. So yeah, playing Medal of Honor made sense. But of course, Medal of Honor and even the first, couple of Call of Duties and such, and a lot of these games, we fought World War II in video game franchises longer than we fought World War II in real life. And so eventually you've moved past that. There weren't a lot of Vietnam games because people didn't want to fight a video game of a morally ambiguous war. World War II, there was a purpose, there was an enemy that everybody could identify as a bad guy, but we didn't have that in Vietnam. Some would say, how can you point to games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and not consider them, those games morally ambiguous? Well, the United States, for the past 13 or so years has had, as far as war games go, a get out of racism free card. The attacks on September 11th made America fairly jingoistic, made them, accepting of a certain degree of racism towards a certain group. And so the first, several iterations of modern warfare and things that came once they branched out of World War II, people let those go. They were very much, of the USA mindset and didn't really care. And maybe it's just me, but I could not fathom what the fuck those stories were even about. The first Modern Warfare, you're in the Middle East and somebody has a nuke, but there's the Russian guy who wants to get back at the West for the Cold War, for Chernobyl. I don't know. I could never understand it. None of my friends who are big Call of Duty fans could really explain the connection between people. Whatever. But eventually, they got over that and they're moving into the advanced warfare here. I'm not sure. I guess the plot of Advanced Warfare itself deals with private military contractors, which I think a lot of people would consider private mercenary corporations to be, yes, a potentially clear-cut bad guy when you have Kevin Spacey leading, I guess, a military nation state almost. You're not seeing a lot of folks really pushing too hard against China as a potential military, adversary in these games, which is odd. You see movies slacking up on that, with the Red Dawn remake moving, saying, we're not going to use China, we're going to use North Korea, which a lot of people thought, yes, North Korea is an antagonist state, but they're not exactly going to be able to launch a full-scale assault of Middle America. But that's because the movies have to worry about selling tickets to an international audience. They have to worry about selling, especially to the emerging audience in China. Video games, because of rampant piracy, don't really have that concern, especially somebody like Microsoft, who has, such a light presence in Asia in general, where these games are, if they're going to be played, a lot of them are going to be pirated copies. That's the state of the software industry in China at the moment. It's kind of a known business issue. So I'm surprised you're not seeing more Chinese antagonists. But in general, the primary point here is that it's hard for a new FPS game to really get a foothold in the market because, frankly, Call of Duty and Battlefield simply have too much going for them right now. They have too much power. Another big reason why I think Warface has not done well here is the fact that it is a free-to-play game supported by microtransactions. And I know it seems like a lot of people I play with don't touch the microtransactions at all, and I typically don't myself when it comes to free-to-play games. I'm going to play it for free and not really give you a penny. If I'm going to play Hangin' with Friends, I'm not going to buy extra coins to give myself a different set of balloons. That's just kind of silly. But I do take part in the microtransactions in Warface because I treat it essentially like an arcade game. The resurrection coins are really, I think I did the math, and they are a little bit less than a quarter. And you can burn through a couple in a game if you're not careful. Sometimes I play a little bit too aggressively because I have essentially a couple quarters in my back pocket. But I think that playing with that model of it's a coin for a life, that's not unreasonable. And I don't spend a lot of money doing it because they give you a free quarter every day essentially. But I know a lot of folks who will not touch microtransactions. They just think that you pay for a game and you should own every little bit of it, and that's it. Of course, these same folks have no problem paying for a Call of Duty Season Pass to get additional maps or weapons or what have you that come along. And I know a lot of folks, myself included, who games like Street Fighter will pay occasionally for some additional costumes. I've not bought the Ultra Summer Vacation costumes yet. I am looking forward to the animal costumes. That should be interesting. So there are, I'm not going to call them microtransactions because, $15 for a map pack or, $30, $40, you're essentially making a game go up to $100 if you want the full experience. People pay that all the time. So it's weird that the microtransaction thing freaks them out. But I do think that works against the game. I know a number of my friends who were testing the game out with me had said that they don't want to play a game that is dependent upon them having to feed more money into the meter. So those two issues, just the might behind Call of Duty and Battlefield as the two primary franchises, and the microtransaction free-to-play model, have put a lot of people off, at least here in the US. I don't know how that translates to the game's success, let's say in Eastern Europe and South America. I know that there are a lot of Russian, a lot of Czech players, a lot of folks from Brazil. Most of the comments I get on my Warface videos, I do believe are Brazilian, or I think there might have been a couple Mexican players. I don't know, but there's not a lot of U.S. interaction. A lot of the folks I play with are clearly American, so I know that there are folks out there. I never have a problem getting a game going, But for some reason, this game just did not capture the imagination of the American player. I still find it to be a very fun experience. I like the level of challenge. I like the variety and the weapons. I don't play the versus mode very much at all. I almost exclusively co-op, and I do like the team aspect of it. I think that is kind of neat, and I do enjoy playing with the group. It's one of the few games that I will play with a mic on. Coordinating efforts and such, when people aren't being completely douchey, makes the game pretty fun. So, if you can think of other reasons why a game like Warface might not be popular here, maybe people are concerned about they don't want to spend money on a game when Crytek is having so many financial issues. They might be afraid that their money might just disappear when the company closes down or something. I don't know. But if you can think about any other reasons why Warface has not caught on with an American audience, please feel free to go ahead and drop a message down below in the comments section. Respond if you'd like on Twitter at ATI channel. If you'd like, check out some of my other Warface videos. You can check out videos on Street Fighter, comics, retro reviews, all sorts of other fun stuff. Check the annotations to the side here. And hey, we're going to play some more Warface here, and I will catch you all online.